Hi, it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I have for us to do this really cute St. Patrick's Day Shamrock cup cozy, or a mug cozy actually. It's super easy to do. Basically it's all single crochet except for your shamrock. You have a couple of double crochets and a couple treble crochets. Super easy to do. It's a great scrap busting project. You can use multiple colors like I did in the rainbow, or you can do it all one solid color, whatever you'd like to do. I got some candy in there too. I basically just grabbed out a bunch of little balls of scrap yarn here, and you know, I didn't have quite enough colors to make a rainbow, so I had some leftover Red Heart Super Saver, just some that I caked up here, and so I did that, and then I had some I needed a little more green, so I had an open skein, so I used that, and then I had a little bit of yellow left over, so I used that. So it's basically just a bunch of scrap yarn, all acrylic medium 4 worsted weight yarn. Your hook sizes, I did use 2 different hook sizes here. I used a H 5.0 millimeter hook for the cozy body itself, and for the shamrock applique I used an F 3.75 millimeter hook. You'll want a yarn needle, some straight pins to pin your applique on before you sew it on, your yarn scissors, and you may or may want to have some stitch markers. That's really up to you. I didn't really need them in this project, but some people like to have stitch markers for every project. You will also need some buttons, just like these ones right here. These are 1-inch buttons. You could probably get away with smaller buttons too, so you want to have a couple of buttons on hand as well. So once you have all your supplies together, grab your hooks, grab your yarn, and let's start working on this cute little shamrock rainbow cup cozy. To start the St. Patrick's Day cup cozy, we're going to start with an H hook 5.0 millimeter hook and the purple color. Start with a chain of 36. Once you get to your chain of 36, I'll meet back up with you. Now that we have our chain of 36, we're going to start second chain from hook. Remember, the loop on our hook does not count as a stitch. So we're going to go 1, 2, flip our chain over, and we're going to work in the back bars of the chain. So we're going to start on that second chain with a single crochet. 1, 2, we're going to continue working single crochets in these back bars, 1 in each stitch, all the way across the chain. I'll meet back up with you at the end of the chain. I'm at the end of the chain. We now have 35 stitches. To start row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn the work. And place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way across the row. Please continue working 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way across the row, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of the row, and we're going to change colors at the end of the row. I'm at the end of row 2. I've come to my last single crochet. Before I complete the stitch, I'm going to bring up my next color, which is going to be blue. It's nice royal blue. And I like to tie my ends together. Not everybody likes to do this, but I like to tie my ends together. But first I'm going to make a chain stitch to secure my new color. I've already clipped off my purple. Now you can work over these ends if you'd like, so you don't have to weave them in, but like I always do for most of my tutorials, I'm going to work them in later so that you can see what I'm doing. So for rounds 3 and 4, we're going to work single crochet for each round, or each row, excuse me. So just work single crochet in each stitch for row 3 and row 4, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 4, and we're going to change colors again. I'm at the end of row 4. We still have 35 stitches. I'm going to pull up our last single crochet. I'm going to grab our next color, which is green. Do that chain stitch. Keep my hook in there. And go ahead and tie these off. And since we already have our chain, our turning chain in there, we can just turn our work. And for rounds 5 and 6, we're going to do our single crochet again. So 1, 2, 3, just single crochet in each stitch. So please repeat this for rounds 5 and 6. Single crochet in each stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 6. I'm at the end of round 6. We still have 35 stitches, and we're going to bring up our next color, which is yellow. Let's tie these two together. Already did our turning chain. We can turn the work and proceed with row 7 and 8. Again, single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3, and we can just go straight across. And I will meet up with you at the end of row 8, and we're going to change colors again. I'm at the end of row 8. We still have 35 stitches, and we're going to bring up our next color, which is orange. Just go ahead and tie these off. And we've already got our chain 1, so let's turn the work. And for rows 9 and 10, let's complete our rows of single crochet. And I will meet back up with you at the end of row 10, where we're going to change colors one last time. At the end of row 10, we still have 35 stitches. I'm going to bring up our last color, which is red. And we already got our chain 1. So we're going to turn our work. And we're going to do row 11 and 12 with our single crochets. Now, though this is our last color, do not fasten off your red at the end of row 12, because we are going to be using the red to do the button loop row. So I will meet back up with you at the end of row 12. I'm at the end of row 12. We still have 35 stitches to do the button loop row, which is going to be along this edge. It's a little bit more helpful to turn your work up like this. I'm going to start with a chain of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Slip stitch into the first chain that you made, so this one right here, so we form a little loop for our buttons. Then we're going to place 2 single crochets in every other row, so in the end of every other row, or an easier way to remember it is just place 2 single crochets into every color row. So we're going to do 1 and 2, and then go to the next color and do 1, 2, and jump over to the next color and do 1, 2, and the next color 1, 2, and the next one, the blue, do 1, 2, and the last one, the purple, 1, 2, and now we need one more button loop, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, 7, and 8, and again slip stitch into that first stitch, that first one right here that we made, and then go ahead and fasten off. Nope, we don't need quite that much yarn, so just going to go ahead and fasten off just like that. And we'll weave this end in, which will bring that loop down so it doesn't look like it's so disconnected. So let's grab our yarn needle and flip over our work and run. Just going to weave this in just like this, and it'll pull that loop right back down so it looks like the first one, looks like the top one. So just kind of weave it back and forth so that it doesn't come out. And it secures your button loop in there too, so it doesn't pull away. Just like that. And it looks nice on this side too. Now that we have our button loop side done, we're going to turn our work around, and with our right side still facing, we're going to work 2 single crochets in every other row along the button side. So we're going to grab our yarn, not that piece, and we're going to go ahead and put a slip knot onto our hook in the red color and do a standing single crochet. So how we do that is we just have our slip knot on, insert our hook, pull up a loop, and complete the single crochet. And we're going to do another one in that same stitch, and then just continue with 2 single crochet into each one of the colors or every other row, however you want to look at that. Just like we did on the button loop side. It just makes your edges look nice and tidy. And go ahead and fasten that off, and you'll weave in those ends, which I'll go ahead and do that off camera in just a moment. I just want to show the finished body here so that you can get a look at what we have so far. So here's our cozy body, and we're going to go ahead and get our buttons out and sew our buttons on just like this. And once you have this all done, got your ends weaved in and your buttons sewn on, set this aside, and we're going to work on making the little shamrock appliques to put onto our rainbow cozy. To make the shamrock applique, we're going to be using the F 3.75 millimeter hook and our green yarn. Now, I used a magic ring technique to make this applique. However, if you are unfamiliar with the magic ring technique, or if you just plain it's not your cup of tea, you can do a chain 2 and place round 1 into the second chain from hook, and it'll work just as well as using a magic ring. So to start the magic ring, you're going to place your yarn over your first 2 fingers, wrap it around, and form an X on the back of your fingers. Put your hook under the bottom yarn, grab the top, and pull it through, twist, grab your working yarn, and chain 1. For round 1, we're going to place 6 single crochets into the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead, pull that tail and cinch up your magic ring. And we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch that we made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. It's kind of hiding over there. So let's slip stitch into that. For round 2, we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And into this next stitch right here, we're going to place all of these stitches. 2 treble crochets. So yarn over the hook twice, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull off 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. That's your treble crochet. I'm going to repeat that stitch. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets again into the same stitch. One and 2. 2 more treble crochets. And 1 more. Chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Now you might have to move your stitches over so you can find that stitch, but it should be right there. And that's the first petal of our shamrock. We're going to repeat this 2 more times to complete the shamrock. So chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and into the next stitch we're going to do 2 treble crochets, two double crochets, two more treble crochets. chain 2, and slip stitch into that next stitch. One more leaf to make, chain 3, and repeat the petal. So we're going to treble crochet 2 times, double crochet 2 times, treble crochet 2 more times. Chain 2 and slip stitch into that last stitch. And those are the 3 petals of our shamrock. Now we just have to make a stem. So we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then slip stitch into the second chain from hook. So 1, and then each chain back. 2, 3, 4, and then in that last chain will be 5. Then we're going to slip stitch back into that same stitch, or that last stitch that we had slip stitched on the petals. And then just go ahead and fasten off. Leave yourself a nice length of tail so that you can sew your shamrock onto your cozy. Okay, make 2 more of these for a total of 3 shamrocks, and then I'll meet back up with you and we can sew these onto our cozy. Here is our cozy with the buttons sewn on and all the ends woven in, and our 3 shamrocks just laid out. Now you can go ahead and pin these on if it makes it easier for you before you sew your shamrocks on. Just get yourself some pins and pin them in place so that you know exactly where you want your shamrocks to be. So just take a few pins and go ahead and pin them down. Sometimes I find it a little bit easier to go ahead and pin the parts down before I sew them, because that way they don't move around on me and I know exactly what it's going to look like before they're sewn on. And you can adjust it and move them around to however you want your cozy to look like. So there I go. I got them nice and pinned down. I got them pretty much where I think I want them. And then I'm just going to go ahead and thread up my yarn needle and sew them down. So I'm just going to like put a few stitches on and then I'll finish it off camera, because it'll just take a really long time to sew these completely down on camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple of stitches in here, just like this. Just put a few stitches in. Just like that. And just go all the way around your shamrocks. Make sure you sew your stems down as well. Now you can, you know, curve them, or if you want to make them go the same direction, you can make them go the same direction. You can make them go opposite directions, however you choose to sew your stems down. So I'm going to go finish sewing these down, and I'll be right back with the finished cozy. Here's the finished mug cozy with our shamrock sewn on, and you just take your mug. I have a little candy in there. That's the one that sits on my desk. And just wrap it around your mug. Put your loops around your buttons. And it just decorates your mug. Just like that. And you have a nice little festive mug for St. Patrick's Day. So if you've liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and happy crocheting. Bye-bye.